Welcome to the Bizarre Broadcasting Channel, BBC, your trusted source for unreliable updates, unreal sources, and ridiculous headlines that defy logic and common sense. Broadcasting from an unknown location and brought to you by our unofficial channel, I'm your unofficial speaker, ready to guide you through another episode of chaos, confusion, and comedy. Tonight's top story: a local neighbor has taken the phrase, "reaching for the stars," a bit too literally. That's right, folks. Meet Mr. Bert Skywalker, a man so determined to fly, he's turned the neighborhood into his personal launch pad. According to inaccurate updates from our unreliable sources, Mr. Skywalker, whose real name may or may not actually be Bert, has been spotted on multiple occasions strapping wings, capes, and even large umbrellas to his back in his relentless quest for flight. Our unknown reporter, currently hiding behind a suspiciously well-placed bush, reports that Bert's latest attempt involved a homemade jetpack constructed from a combination of leaf blowers, duct tape, and sheer optimism. From a distance, witnesses heard Bert proclaiming, "I believe I can fly," before disappearing behind a plume of exhaust and a cloud of burnt toast. Remnants from Episode 15's Robo-Toaster uprising, no doubt. Neighbors from unofficial sources have described Bert's flying attempts as everything from ambitious to mildly concerning. One resident, who asked to remain anonymous because they live directly next door to Bert, stated, "It's like living next to a one-man air show with none of the safety regulations." Another source, who may or may not be Bert's cat, was seen sitting on a rooftop looking utterly unfazed by the sight of a grown man flapping his arms wildly while running down the street. According to an unofficial speaker with expertise in absolutely nothing relevant, Bert's first attempt at flight was inspired by a late-night binge of superhero movies and an ill-advised purchase from an unofficial website that promised wings in a box. Spoiler alert, it was just cardboard. Yesterday's news suggested that Bert's determination might be linked to a bet he made with the neighborhood kids, who allegedly challenged him to prove that old people can still dream. Bert, however, took this as a direct challenge to gravity itself. Our inaccurate updates report that Bert has now taken to experimenting with increasingly bizarre methods, including attaching helium balloons to his bicycle, donning a full bird costume, and even attempting to build a homemade catapult using only rubber bands and leftover spaghetti. When asked why spaghetti, Bert replied, "It's what I had in the pantry." In a statement gathered from a local, unofficial source who claims to be Bert's childhood friend, Bert's fascination with flight began after he saw a seagull steal a sandwich from his hand when he was 7. "Since that day, he's wanted to fly," the friend claimed, while chuckling at Bert's latest failed attempt to glide off his garage roof using nothing but a plastic tarp and the collective goodwill of his neighbors. Our resident expert on ludicrous hobbies, Dr. Sky Fall, who got his doctorate in aeronautical nonsense from an unverified university, weighed in, saying, "While Bert's enthusiasm is commendable, his understanding of aerodynamics is, well, let's just say he'd be better off sticking to paper planes." Authorities, or whoever was available to comment on a man's amateur aviation pursuits, are advising the neighborhood to keep a safe distance when Bert begins any new launch, as his landings are reportedly less than graceful. And by less than graceful, we mean most of Bert's flight paths end in shrubbery, shallow kiddie pools, or, on one memorable occasion, the middle of a neighbor's wedding. From an inaccurate analysis streaming live from Bert's garage, it's clear that despite numerous failures and a record number of scraped knees, Bert's spirit remains unbroken. His latest contraption, nicknamed the Skywalker 3000, features a mixture of lawn chair mechanics, beach umbrella technology, and a surplus of optimism that could launch 1,000 motivational posters. As Bert Skywalker continues his relentless pursuit of human-powered flight, his neighbors have set up unofficial viewing parties complete with popcorn, lawn chairs, and a betting pool on how far Bert will get before gravity reminds him who's boss. Reports from the scene, primarily gathered from snickering teenagers and a bemused mail carrier, indicate that the neighborhood is rallying behind Bert, albeit from a very safe distance. One local teenager, clearly inspired by Bert's dedication, was overheard saying, "If he keeps this up, he's gonna make it. To the ER, at least." From unknown reporters to anonymous sources, the saga of Bert Skywalker's battle against the laws of physics continues to be the talk of the town, and no one here at BBC could be prouder to bring you every misstep, miscalculation, and misguided leap of faith. So, until Bert figures out how to actually defy gravity, or at least how to land on his feet, keep your eyes to the sky, your feet on the ground, and your sense of humor firmly intact. I'm your unofficial speaker, signing off from the bizarre broadcasting channel, where the news is always breaking, the facts are always shaky, and the stories are never grounded. Tune in next time for more ridiculous reports, and remember, if you see a man with wings running down your street, it's probably just Bert giving it another shot. Good night, and may all your flights be fancy, or at least funny.